Hello, fellow breakaway thinkers. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you're at watching this. It's another wonderful day today. I wanted to make a quick video today, and I want to talk about your why. What is your why for doing what it is that you're doing in your life? What is your reason that you want to improve, that you want to elevate in your life? Uh, we go through certain points in our lives where, we can, hopefully anyway, we come to the point where we want to go beyond, what we're comfortable doing, right? Go beyond our comfort zones, go beyond what we're used to. And there's a reason why we're doing that, right? Just beyond our own personal gain. What is the why that you're doing what you're doing? What is the deep-seated reason behind what you're going through, behind all the stress that you're taking on, the extra work that you're doing on yourself personally, at your job, in your business? The question is, what is your why for doing what you're doing? I'm gonna start with myself. I'm gonna tell you all why I'm doing what I'm doing. So my goal and my desire is to help people to transform their health, right? And in the process of doing so, to be able to put myself in the position to have financial and time freedom. So that is why I do what I do, right? My desire is to help others, especially now in these times. There's such a desire, there's such a need that people have to transform their health. Health has become such a major focus um, for lots of people, and for good reason. We have a system that unfortunately is not designed to really bring us true health, right? It does what it can, to the best of its ability, but it's very limited in many ways, right? So there is that deep-seated desire for people to be healthy, and I am playing my little part that I can in helping to bring people a health transformation, and in the process to be able to be very well compensated to use, and also uh, to transform my health in the process as well, whilst I'm doing it. So that is my why. I just wanted to do this video just to get people to think, to start asking some questions about why am I doing what it is that I'm doing? What is that thing that is going to push me over the line? When I go through struggles, when I encounter, those difficult days when things aren't going as I wish, those sleepless nights, and, when the business is not doing as you thought it would like, and millions of reasons, right? Why things may not be the way that they are, all the challenges and all the difficulties that come, trying to manage, being a parent, children and your career, and, you're trying to build a business at the same time. Like, there's all these hats, right, that a lot of us wear, and what is that thing? What is that one thing? It could be more than one, but usually there's that one thing that keeps you going no matter what. The question is, what is that thing? Have you taken the time to think about that, about what that is, right? Because identifying your why is what pushes you through in the difficult times. So if you haven't taken a moment, if you haven't had an opportunity to be able to sit down and really think about that, I'd really encourage you to do so. I've had a chance to do that myself, and I've learned so much. I'm doing this not just for myself, for my wife, my children, my child, my parents, uh, siblings. This is just beyond me, right? This is bigger than, and a lot of times I think that is the one thing that will really help you, is to find something that is bigger than just yourself. You know, don't get me wrong, it's amazing to want to do things for yourself, right? It's amazing that you want to make more money, that you want to improve your life, right? But there's a limit to you know, gaining things for yourself, right? There's only so far you can go, because at the end of the day, you're one person. How much can you really, most people can live comfortably on not a whole lot, honestly, right? So if we're looking at it as just us, I don't think that is enough fuel to keep that fire going, if that makes any sense, right? So what can you find that is bigger than you, that is beyond you, that can help you to push through those limits and push through those difficulties, right? When people think that you're crazy for doing what you're doing, what's going to keep you going? What are the conversations that you're having in your mind, when those times come around, right? If you're around people who may not resonate with what they're trying to do, if you're looking to build a business, if you're looking to step out of your comfort zone and do great things in life, there may be people around you that would not resonate with that. And when that time comes, when you're hearing the things that they're saying about you, or you know, and this may not be on purpose, by the way. It's unintentional. They're not trying to necessarily sabotage you. It's just that because of what you're doing, you attempting to grow and attempting to elevate is almost like a reflection. They see it as a reflection on themselves as to what they're not doing, right? So you trying to step out and you're trying to elevate and trying to uh, go beyond the boundaries of what you used to, right? You doing that reminds them that they are not doing that themselves, right? And they may feel some type of way about that. Now, hopefully, you're around some people that will push you and will help you to expand and help you to be the best version of yourself. But sometimes you may not have that, right? You can, unfortunately, we live in times where there's the internet. You can get basically create your own family of people that are on the same wavelength as you are, that look at the world the same way that you look at the world, right? Fortunately, we're in a time when you can do that without necessarily having people around you physically. But even that, there's a limitation to that. There's only so much you can learn from people online. There's something about getting in the presence of people physically who are on the same journey that you are on, who are trying to expand, who are trying to elevate, who are trying to be the best version of themselves, right? Who aren't comfortable with just being comfortable. There's something amazing about being around that kind of energy, right? And it gives you a form of inspiration. When you're around that energy, you feel it, right? You feel how good it is, and you want to continue that. And you want to continue to be in an energy like that, right? Um, so really, that's what this video ultimately is really about. Is trying to find your why, whatever that is, you know, digging deep enough to find that, and a lot of this comes from you being able to do that will come from just reflection, asking yourself those hard questions. Why am I here? What is my purpose, on this earth? What is the thing that lights me up in my spirit? We all have things that we're generally good at, that we have, you know, ability to do confidently and to do well, right? But there's a difference between that and your passion, like the thing that like lights you up, the thing that makes you want to wake up in the morning, to go do, the thing that, it's almost like you love it so much you don't even want to go to sleep. What is that thing? And everybody has that, by the way. Everybody has that one thing. It's a matter of being able to discover that and bring that into this world, right? And make it available to people, and use it to help people to become the greatest version of themselves, and you also benefiting. And that's another thing. There's nothing wrong with benefiting from helping people. Okay, I know there's this whole belief that people have about selling and thinking that is bad and all of those things. I personally do not think it's a bad thing, right? The issue is what are you selling, and what are you trying to offer to people? What type of value are you offering? For me, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to value. If you are offering value, right, and you are getting value back in exchange, I don't think there's a bad thing about that at all. It becomes bad when you are not you are how do I put this? Um, you are expecting value to come to you without you giving any value in return. That is where the issue is. That is what I think is not productive, right? It's not productive. It's not in alignment with the best version of yourself. It's not the greatest way to be of service to people, right? And even that, you're not even really being of service. It's just manipulation at that point, right? But to be able to find your passion, right, help people with it, and to be able to benefit financially from that, I think it's fantastic. I think that's how really it works in the universe. There has to be some sort of an exchange. Energy cannot go only in one direction without it coming back. There has to be an exchange of energy, both ways, right? Um, anyway, I know that was a bit of a tangent there, but I just, that's me. I think, and then I start going into all kinds of. It's related, but it's a bit of a tangent too. Uh, but anyway, so that is my why for doing what I do. I hope and I believe that you will take the opportunity to really step into that and ask yourself that. If you're doing something that you don't necessarily love that, but you're good at, and your spirit is tearing at you, right? Is speaking to you every day, is telling you this is not it, this is not the thing for you, but you can't seem to find a way to get yourself out of that. I feel you. I know what that feels like. Trust me. I mean, I'm in that process right now, where I'm trying to get out of doing what I'm doing now um, that it's not in alignment with who I truly am. Um, I'm doing the coaching thing at the moment, you know, but my main job that I'm doing, I've done it for a few years, now, but I've gotten to that point where I've realized that it's not in alignment with the greatest version of myself. And it's time to move on and it's time to elevate, right? But then, even though your spirit is speaking to you and it's telling you to take a leap, right, out of faith, your ego comes in and start asking the questions like, okay, yeah, so you pray, how are you, you know, it's gonna be uncomfortable. How am I gonna pay my bill? You get all these questions and all these things that come in your mind, right? And that's all a part of it, And how do you go beyond that? How do you find a way to be able to not let that influence um, your desire to be great? You know, because we all want to be comfortable. Ultimately, that's human beings how we naturally are. We all want to be comfortable. Our ego wants us to be safe and comfortable and prevent us from stepping out, and doing things that are uncomfortable and unsafe. And it's not a bad thing per se because it's designed to protect us, right? But at some point in life, it doesn't serve us, when we are so afraid of being uncomfortable, so afraid of stepping out. It doesn't serve us at all. We end up basically being in a life where we're doing the same things again and again and again. And you come to, 10 years go by, 15 years go by, and then you're asking yourself what happened. you know, I'm living the same life, and that's such an unfortunate way to go about things. Now, it's not wrong, by the way, right? So I'm not saying that that is a wrong. There really isn't a judgment here. What I'm saying is that it's unfortunate in the sense that it's not being able to tap into the full potential of who you are. It's just unfortunate. That's all I'm saying. Now, if that's what somebody wants, right? If somebody's fine with how things are, hey, that's fantastic. We all have different needs, right? Not everybody wants to own a business. Not everybody wants to do something, out of their comfort zone, and that's okay, right? But for those who do, like myself, right? For those who do, how do you step outside of that, right? How do you get in a position where you don't allow those who are comfortable with where they are stop you from stepping out, stop you from continuing to push yourself, right? Because that noise is going to come from everywhere. People thinking that you're crazy for what you're doing, you know, that you're not really going to do anything because it's never been done before, all the stuff that you hear, right? And pushing through that is extremely, extremely important. I'm going through that process right now, so I can speak to this. You know, Sometimes you have doubts creep in, like, should you even be doing what you're doing? Should you even be trying to, you know, be a better version of yourself? Why even bother? All these things come up, and you have to find a way to uh, transcend that. This is where things like affirmations and being able to speak positively into your life makes a difference. Uh, so really, that's all the message that I have for today. I just wanted to put that out there. This was a topic that was on my mind today. Anyone that's out there that is listening to this, strongly believe that I provide a lot of value doing this, putting these videos out there. It's something that I enjoy, and I hope that people are benefiting from it. There are other ways that I provide value as well. If you are interested in that, take a look in the description. I'm a health coach, so I make it known to people that that is what I do as well. So if you're looking to make some changes in your health, I am more than happy to assist you with that. If you resonate with me, by the way, right? Um, I'm not trying to manipulate people into getting into coaching or anything like that. If you resonate with uh, my story, if you resonate with these videos and things that I've been doing, and if you believe that you are looking for some assistance, looking for some guidance as far as your health, get in the description and get in touch with me, and let's see how I can be of service to you. So thank you all. It's another wonderful day. Thank you for watching the videos. I love you all, and I will see you on the next one. And remember, on a healthy mind, rest a healthy body. It's very important. You know, there's that link between our minds and our bodies. So let's always keep that in mind. Mind and body, always connected. Okay, let's keep that in mind in everything that we do. All right, love you all. Bye, Breakaway Thinkers.